And we're here. Welcome to the we're air guitar.
Hot licks.
Hot licks. Welcome everyone to the Lead Generation World Live podcast. Probably watching us on LinkedIn or YouTube. We do stream live to YouTube as well. So fun fact, if you didn't already know. But thank you, or you're watching us months, days, weeks later after this is already recorded. Thank you for coming and stumbling across the video and sitting through the first 30 seconds. Which, trust me, it will get better. It will get better.
It's a hard 30 seconds to endure.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, but I promise the payoff will come. But you have to wait till the very, very end.
Just like any good M. Night Shyamalan movie.
That's right.
Last name, I just butchered that.
It's very intense and suspenseful. I'll tell you that. Welcome, though. Before I introduce my friend here, Dan Redman, which I guess I just did, I want to encourage you guys all that are watching live to say hello, say what's up in the comments. We'll see them. Also, feel free to ask questions. It makes it a lot of fun when you guys participate and ask the guests some questions as well, and makes it more conversational. And so please do. All you got to do is type them in the comments. We'll see it. But yeah, thank you for joining. So without further ado, let me introduce Dan Redman from Sales Enable Us. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Michael. One other thing that could be added in comments, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much like Shooter McGavin I look like? If you can add that in the comments, I'm curious to see where I rank.
I'm gonna go with the 8.5.
8.5. Whoa.
Yeah.
That's big.
What is it? What is the normal score that you get?
I think I'm probably like a 7. So
a 7? Okay.
Not far off. Yeah. I'm a 7 on the Shooter McGavin scale.
Okay. I think that's
it's a rough hair day.
Yeah.
Rough hair day, so it kind of gives me that more of that mystique.
Well, you're one of those guys that, I mean, you're 25 years old and you already have
aging terribly.
Yeah. But no, really though, weren't you pretty young when that, silver hair started coming in?
Funny enough, I was 25 when the silver lining started to creep through, and now I'm full on cinnamon and sugar.
Yeah.
Mostly
now,
sugar.
Are you doing the hair for Club for Men type thing with the highlights, or is this like legit?
This is all natural.
This is all natural.
As I assume yours is too.
Yeah. Mine, just like yours, is God given, which is a heavenly haircut. But
we're both out here in the world shining in our own ways.
Gosh dang it, Dan! You make me feel good every time I talk to you. I swear. I'm just gonna have you come around and just pat me on the back every once in a while.
I got you, man. I'm your life coach.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So Dan, you have a company. You founded a company called Sales Enable Us, and that seems like sales enablement seems to be a relatively newer term, at least in my world, within the last 5 years. I don't know, 4 or 5 years, maybe longer in other people's world. Maybe it's been around forever. I don't even know. But it seems like more and more, I hear more and more people talk about sales enablement. What the hell is that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways to define sales enablement. There's some technical terms. Asynchronous sales enablement is a little bit more geared towards like the content involvement in selling. And, what we do is a little bit more of a like done for you that ends up being largely on like the prospecting side. So it's a little bit loosely built in like the discipline of sales enablement and more in the outcomes side of it. And so that's where we've sort of made our calling, is becoming like a small business prospecting as a service company. That to me is the most exciting aspect of what sales enablement could provide.
Yeah.
Is building technology that sells for people and operates as like a selling assistant to maximize yield out of the sales team.
So what I envisioned when you were talking about, I was like, is it it's that stupid analogy. Is it a science or is it an art? And it sounds like to me it's a little bit of both. Like, right, you have sort of the automation side of it, and then you also have sort of the creativity side of it.
Yeah, 100%, 100% the case. I find that it's actually exciting to take a creative approach to prospecting and sales outreach, because that's a big gap. That's the most challenging and rare opportunity in sales outreach, is to bring uniqueness to your tone and take a left turn. You see a million is a little bit of an overstatement, but you see a lot of messages that look exactly the same, that are cut from the same template.
Yeah.
Someone searches cold outreach in Google, lands on either a HubSpot, a SalesLoft, or an Outreach.io article on how to write a good cold email, and they just use that. They copy paste it, and then just drop their details in the merge tags, right? So the opportunity in outreach is to adapt to your company's culture and to the nature of your brand. Is your brand fun? Then don't write a boring email.
Yeah.
Is your brand
So
quirky?
what if your brand's boring though?
Then you suck. Make your brand interesting and exciting, and you love your brand in the way that you could.
I guess it's funny because when you think of like, okay, I'm a mortgage company. Maybe that's B2C, but I don't know. You could be a SaaS platform. Maybe not all that sexy either. It's like real basic, but that maybe the brand isn't very exciting. But if you turn, I guess, yourself into the brand ambassador, then you're the one that's got the personality, right?
Yeah. Well, that's it. And every company does something, right? Like, so let's say you're a mortgage company and you hang your hat on service. We are service oriented, and we take pride in working with veterans. That's part of your identity. You've adopted your identity around your skill set as a brand. Leverage that. Use that to your ability, and talk about that, and speak to people in the way that they would want to be talked to as well. I think a lot of people get caught up in formality in writing like outreach sequences, when what cuts through the noise is actual casual conversation. It's unexpected. And that's how you can really like make breakthroughs and not
All right,
sound
give me
like.
an example. Give me an example. Okay, so we have the two channels that are coming off at the top of my head is obviously LinkedIn, right? We get LinkedIn messages all the time. I send LinkedIn messages to people,
Yeah.
and then also email. I'm thinking of just those two basic channels. So pick one of those. And how does that how does something that generally is more, that sequence is more salesy, and how do you make it more conversational?
Let me give you the single message that I've gotten on LinkedIn probably 8,000 times,
Yeah.
that I honestly laugh every time I get it. And here's why. So the message is, hello, merge tag for name, and then every possible benefit to working with that person, every value statement they could possibly fit in. It's huge. Links out to case studies, links to an explainer video, pictures of the kids on spring break, and at the very bottom is a calendar link. And what what you're basically doing is asking a prospect to self-qualify,
Right.
and then book their own appointment. And it's like, if we unwind it as a salesperson and say, what are we doing here? That is the worst possible way you can try and sell. Like, there's no worse way than engaging people in that manner. You're totally disrespecting them and their time. So if you wanted to think about, well, what is the polar opposite of, I don't want to do that. What is the polar opposite of that? It's respecting someone's time, showing that you have an interest in them, and acknowledging that. And the way you do that is by asking perspective, offering good insights, giving good feedback, being a good connection. Those are all intangible value items that you could provide somebody in a sequence. So, oftentimes I'll build a sequence entirely thematically around learning more about a person. How can we create a low barrier of entry just to find out one thing about this person that they haven't shared in their LinkedIn profile? Start a conversation. Start any conversation about anything. The person went to Harvard, ask them about the rowing team. Ask them about them. That's the way you personalize, instead of communicating on a many to many or a one to many basis. Yeah.
I'm reading some of the comments here. So pardon my distraction just a bit. Someone was talking about something like there's so much. I feel like there's like a need when you're a salesperson. You want to share these benefits, right? You're like, Dan, man, when you come to my conference, you're going to get this and you're going to get this. And then there's going to be this and there's going to be that. And there's going to be this and this and the price and blah, blah, blah. And the location. And you're like, oh, shit, I'm 6 chapters into this book. I just wrote this guy, but you're like, I really want him to hear all these things about this. And then maybe he can decide that it's going to be an amazing show. But that's not the way to go. But I feel like other, salespeople in general have that sort of, but if I tell them all the good things about this, maybe one of them will connect.
That's it's an early sales behavior. That.
Well, I'm far less evolved.
I'll tell you what, Mike, like I wouldn't consider myself the most polished salesperson when it comes to the X's and O's. If you were to dissect all of my sales calls and you put it in front of sales pros, Josh Brons and the Beck Hollins and some of these other like sales, leadership thought leaders, they would tear apart my sales calls. But I'll tell you one thing that I lean on and that I do understand about sales and that I leverage the most. And it's that I realize and understand that people buy based on trust and whether or not they feel like they can work with you. For reasons that I can't describe to you, I've been told I have a trusty face.
Okay.
And so that works to my advantage, but I also disarm people. I use humor in the sales process. I come across in a non-offensive, somewhat passive way. I allow people to drive the conversation. I listen actively and acknowledge that I'm listening and repeat things back to people so that they know that that's the case. And that's how I sell. It's not for everybody. It's not everyone's style, but that's what works for me. And I understand those things to be universally true about sales, that people buy from the people that they connect with.
Yeah. And so that's full circle basically on what you're talking about, right? So trying, on those, in some of these outreaches and some of these messages, prospecting is really just maybe make it more humanizing. Is that a word? I don't even know, but
that's it. Even in inauthentic channels. So a lot of people now are using automation. Ask the question, how can we make this automation feel genuine and feel like there's a human connected at some stage in the process? That's essentially the cat and mouse game that you should be playing in automation. The nanosecond that someone believes that you're sending them just like a 20-day sequence that is disconnected from human touch, you've lost their interest. You've lost the ability to sell that up to that person.
So talking about email for a sec, we've got Talha that's, feels he's got a pretty good email written, but he's just not getting the responses. Obviously there's something to do with data, all that sort of stuff. But how do you connect through email? Because I feel like that's even less personal than LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is like just a LinkedIn instant message seems to be, maybe 5 paces away from a text message, and then email is probably 10 to 15 from that. I don't know, that feeling of uh, just more personalized, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So how do you get an email to be personalized too? Because I'm sure, like you and everybody else, I wake up every morning and then I'm up early, and then from about 7:30 to about 10 is when all the prospect emails come in, right? And they're some of them are fun. I mean, some of them are creative. And then the inevitably the week later, the follow up, hey, just wanted to bring this one back up to your to the top of your inbox. Please let me know if the. So how do you make something so impersonal personal via email?
Yeah. So a common mistake that I see is first using non-personal language. So the email should not be, unless you're writing a newsletter, should not be many to many, many to one, or any combination of manys and ones. There should be no many in the way you're drafting an email. Email should be a one-to-one written email. And what I mean by that is saying, hi, I'm Daniel Redman. These are the things that I value and care about. This is what I understand about your role.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why today is important for us to connect. You can make all those things brief, and brevity helps. But state your purpose, outline as you understand it, the connection between somebody, and why the timing is right. I mean, it's a simple formula that is easy to get wrong. I read a lot of emails and break down a lot of emails that say, we can do this for you. Do not ever say we. Don't say, just resist the temptation to say we can do this. Again, people buy from the person. People buy from you, Mike. They want you to say, I do this. I've done this in the past.
That's such a simple thing, but it actually resonates. Even as you saying that, if someone were to write that and go, I can help you, it does make it more personal. Just that alone makes it more personal than we or us or my company. This, that, and the other. That's great.
Yeah. So that it's a simple thing, but the tone changes when you adjust it in that way.
Yeah. No, that's okay. So you've been working. I mean, one of the big things these days with sales enablement is not just these cold outreach, campaigns, right? Where you're targeting, a demographic or a group or whoever it is on LinkedIn or email or whatever it may be. It's also about building referrals and all sorts of other things. And you've been working on something specifically for that too, right? What have you been working on recently?
Yeah. So, I think that as a healthy practice, I like to consider economic conditions in the way I build pipeline. And so coming into this year, and someone asked like, what's specific about 2023 is, should we be considering for demand gen? Economy. Think about the economy. And I saw it early, like late December to mid January. I already felt, and someone else in the chat may, second it, that conversion rates seem to slip a little bit. We've been doing this for 4 years, and the conversion rate, on opportunities goes up and down, but you kind of feel something a little bit different. And it felt different this year, going into this year. So I did an audit. We've now eclipsed, over like 110 clients that we've worked with, and I audited my client base. Where did all of our opportunities come from? What was the quality of our engagements? Where did we provide the most value? And did a ranking system that was not just like quantity, but also like the quality of our engagements. And something actually jumped out off the Google sheet for me. I found a small group of opportunities that we got in front of that turned into our best valued clients. And one thing rang true. There was a common thread. And so what I did is and it was a referral source. It accounted for a small portion of our business, but I realized I needed to lean into it. So I did some industry interviewing of people that hold that title and could be that key referral point for us, learned about their business, learned what challenges they face, especially this year, and decided to make a shift to push all my chips in, not all, but push a lot of my chips in on referral partnerships. And the reason is just thinking about it from a straight conversion rate standpoint for me. If I continue to chase like a general market for me, in normal conversion times, I experience like right around a 20% conversion rate on my ops, the people that I get on a call with. If that number dips and I just allow it to dip, I keep doing business as usual, and that number, let's say, cuts in half in a bad economy, then the amount of ops I have to work becomes an almost impossible to meet demand gen scenario. So I needed to find a way to balance my conversion rate. And I did, I realized that on referral ops, I converted around 50%. So pushing in on referral partnerships, and I built a program based on the interviews that I had with people in the space that created a complete no-brainer scenario. How can I create value for this key influencer without asking for anything in return, make them a captive audience, and if they have a client that's a fit for me, they would think of nobody else. Those were the factors that I came up with and started to roll it out. My strategy for rolling out this offer was just identify places where these people are, where they hang out, what groups they're in. And I posted, it was literally 3 sentences. Here's what it is. Here's the value that you'll get from it. Book a meeting with me. I posted it just in 3 Slack channels. I had 8 places I was going to post it. But what happened was pretty remarkable. In the first 4 hours of making that post, I had 12 appointments on my calendar. In 3 business days, I had over 60. So I was able to book meetings with 60 potential key influencers and referral sources. Doing some math. So I've now gone through, I'm like 2.5 weeks into this. I've sat with 50 and onboarded 28 people onto this program. So I now have 28 referral sources that are somewhat of a captive audience that I can communicate freely with, that I'm providing value for, and they're eager to hear from me to further advance what they're doing. So doing some math on that, yeah, there's a little bit of cost. There's some cost and there's legwork on my side. Sure. But if 28 people just refer me one potential customer and I earn 12, new clients, the return on investment for me is something like 1,500%. It's stupid. It's totally off the charts. And that relieves a lot of the pressure in acquiring people through my standard channels. Now I can, not ease up, but like know that like my opportunity rate is going to go up and down as the economy does what it does.
Yeah.
But I can have this pool of people that I can tap into at any time and drive and stimulate more action with.
So tell me a little bit more about what you're providing these influencers to have them engaged. And maybe I didn't hear it, but and maybe you don't need to tell me the specifics if you're not comfortable with that. But maybe how generally what kind of value do you think is beneficial that can be sort of applied in other channels or organizations?
Yeah. So I definitely think there's some global application in the way that the offer is built. This particular group, this key influencer group, said time and time again when I interviewed multiple people that they find their own prospecting to be an absolute necessary evil. They hate doing it. They don't like being on sales calls. They just want word of mouth and referral business, but they know that they can't rely on it.
Right.
And all of the people that I talked to had gaps and had openings in their bandwidth. They could take on more business, but they just didn't want to bring themselves to prospect. So so that's where I was able to make the connection and go, okay, well, if I can fill a little bit of this need for you, it's not going to be 100% of what you need, but if I can fill a little bit, is that exciting? And it was an overwhelming yes.
Got it.
So that could be like a developer could roll that out, an IT company can do something like that, a marketing company, any type of like accounting or finance company could also like apply that same understanding.
I like this. So you're actually giving them. I like this because it sounds like to me you're actually giving them a little bit of your time and services.
Yeah.
In exchange, you're saying, listen, I'm going to help you with a little bit. I'll consulting, whatever. You're going to help a little bit. And in exchange, I'm hoping, or maybe you haven't had that conversation. In exchange, can you send me referrals? Did you have that? Is it an explicit term? Okay. So what's great about what I like about this is that you're giving. And now when you receive something from somebody for free, that's valuable to you, that at least shows some value, you almost feel like you have to give back.
Exactly. So, when you're selling something, the common like rule of thumb when you're selling is that you should, it should be slightly painful for someone to like push the button and accept your agreement, right?
Yeah.
It should hurt the pocketbook a little bit, not too much that that you have like a large contingency that can't work with you, but should sting a little bit. The absolute opposite should be true when you're building a referral partnership. And the way that it takes shape is some people should not engage because they think it's too good to be true. It should be that kind of no-brainer. And I have had some of those where people are like, I don't know, Dan, you're just giving value. Like, there's no agreement. Like, I'm not obligated. And the answer is always yes. And if someone feels like that's too shady, then okay. But like, that's the polarity of it. People should think that this is just way too good. I'm embarrassed. I feel like I'm robbing the bank or taking advantage of you. And that's great. That's great. That's the sentiment I want to develop is you're just getting a ton of value. That's it.
No, and then they'll feel, some requirement to make sure to give you what you need to back. And I like that. Before I get to this other point, has it paid off in any new business yet?
So early on in the program, I actually just got my first referral from this
just
program.
a couple weeks in or 3 weeks.
So yesterday I actually got my first referral from somebody within this new partner program.
Great.
So big milestone with that.
So it's working, especially that early. It's working. We're working quite well. Even having one within the first couple of weeks.
And it was actually from someone that didn't actually onboard into the program. They were one of those, it's too good, but let's stay in touch. And they sent me a referral yesterday.
That is hilarious. That
it's amazing.
The person that didn't sign up for it actually sent you a thing. And it's probably that behavioral psychological thing that he was like, no, that's too good to be true. I can't believe you're doing this, but it sounds like I'll send you something too, just because you even offered, kind of thing.
That goes with understanding the connection between this target group too. My services are extremely complementary for them. Just right off the jump, even if they don't engage with me, my services pair well and allow this group to like further leverage and deepen their connection with the client. So that's that shows like that actually like proves out like, okay, there's a fit here, even when they don't want this value add.
Yeah, that's great. And those listening, we'll get to some of your questions too, just in a minute. I'm certainly not ignoring them. But I do want to sort of role play a little bit here. With I'm thinking, yeah.
Should I go get my furry costume? Or?
Yeah, go get your furry costume and whatever that. What's your furry animal?
I would probably be a fox, a silver fox.
Oh, duh.
Yeah.
Would that make me like a turtle then or something? Like a ball? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it would be, but like the crazy thing is you're just
I guess you have to fur to be a furry.
People probably like when someone introduces you, they go, "This is Mike Furry." They go, "What? What is this guy into?"
That's true. That is true. Well, before we go off into the major deep end, here's the role play. So when I'm thinking of like, you think of like a SaaS lead management platform in mortgage, okay? And they have mortgage users, and obviously companies that use their platform for lead management or CRM type of tasks. They want to build out a referral network, and the easiest way, what all these companies usually do, go, listen, if you refer somebody over, we'll pay you $500.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a passive thing. Like people tell me, oh, hey, listen, if you send business, I'll give you this. I go, okay, cool, whatever. And if it comes around, I'll send it. I'll tell them that, go over there. But it feels very passive, back in my usually forgotten about within a week or day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what would be like obviously this isn't the silver bullet. Okay. We're coming up with this on the spot, but what would be sort of a strategy to build a referral, a community within a very large community of mortgage companies that utilize a lead management system like that? What would be your strategy outside of just like, hey, here's $500 if you sign up?
Yeah. You've got to find a way to deepen the relationship. So, not to pick on them too much, but marketing agencies do this a lot, where they really try and stimulate getting people into their referral program, and they want to pay like their 12% referral fee. Yeah. And the question I always have for those companies is, why you? Why should I, out of the million marketing agencies that are offering a 12% referral fee, why is it you that I should send opportunities to? And there's never like a concrete answer. I don't know this company. I have no relationship with them other than they have approached me and asked me to become a referral partner. And so I think you have to establish that why does this make sense? Why does your company make sense to engage with me? Sending a referral could be slightly risky for a company. Sending referral business could be risky. Your name and your reputation are associated with that, right? So the question is always, regardless of industry, regardless of line of work, how do you deepen the relationship first? How do you deepen the relationship first? Reveal your company culture, reveal, what it is that you do and why you do it before you ask somebody anything. Make deposits in the bank before you pull a withdrawal out.
Yeah, and I'm thinking
it's not specific. You might have been looking for something specific.
No. I think this is a great conversation, because what I'm also thinking of, just in terms of this like lead management role that we're playing here. Obviously, there's going to be value given with a good product or service, right? So if it's a good product or service, then naturally someone's going to say, hey. And if it's talking to somebody, another mortgage company that goes, yeah, well, this is what I use and we love it, right? And so there's going to be value in that product if it's good. Because I'm really trying to relate. I'm wondering if there's a creative way to sort of do what you did, which is you provided sort of a free service to some extent for somebody that filled a hole, which obviously they're not going to do. They're not going to give them a discount. I don't think that's going to translate the same way it translated for your scenario than it would for theirs. At least
there's ways to do it. Yeah, no, yeah. You're right, but there's ways to do it. So there's value in research and understanding a market that is universal. So if I can provide, a unique content experience or content platform or set of resources for a referral partner, that's interesting. If I can offer like a specific audit or assessment or interesting sort of understanding about someone's business that they wouldn't have. If I can even bring in a third party into this like partnership and I pay for their services to apply to this referral partner as like this is what we're going to do for you as an exclusive member of this partnership, you get blank. We're going to like wash your cars every week. Maybe that costs a mortgage company $30 a week for an indefinite period of time. But how much would you pay for those relationships? What are those relationships worth to you? I spoke to a company earlier in the year that their key referral partner are physicians, they're doctors. And they know every time they get a referral from a doctor, it's $500,000 in potential revenue. They get 2 referrals from a doctor in a year. It's $1 million in revenue. How much are you willing to spend? What is your threshold for wooing that physician, in order to provide you $1 million in revenue? What's that worth to you? Is it worth, paying for a couple car washes? Is that a good trade-off? Obviously there's some compliance issues that, relate to like medical and stuff like that. Right. But from a general sense, like what can you do that's valuable for somebody, regardless of spend? Keep them captive. How do you like stay in front of somebody with a value offer?
So maybe I'm going back to, and I think it's a relatively good example, like this lead management company or whatever it is, because they may have thousands of users, right? And the value is in there, and there's a lot of SaaS platforms out there that provide value through their product offering, all that sort of stuff, and they can't quite do something similar to what you did, which was provide additional free service. That wouldn't, like I said, that probably wouldn't translate into more referrals or any psychological need to give back to the company necessarily. So I'm thinking maybe like exclusive industry insight data would be like something that could be given to people that would find additional, because I feel like in a scenario like we're talking about where they would need additional value that they're not getting already through the platform. So it's not like the service value, but it's something else that they're getting and that they only can get because of the relationship that they have with that salesperson. So how to make it like, so if I were to do a industry report, since I'm a lead management company, on conversion rates of XYZ leads, but I'm going to hold on. I'm not going to distribute it. I'm not going to put it on a PDF. I'm not going to turn it into a funnel of new leads, which is also a good idea. But I'm just saying this piece of data, I'm going to hold on to it. And I'm actually going to pick up the phone and go, hey, Bob, I got some really insightful data that's not included in that report we're putting out. Because you're a great partner and successful, I just wanted to kind of share that with you and give it. And so you kind of hold off on some of the data to give it. Maybe that I'm trying to just a scenario where you're giving something that's not readily available that provides that psychological need to go, oh, I'm special. And yes, because I'm special, I want to give back by going, hey, this company over here is actually really great. They treat their clients like me really, really well,
Yeah. The only other addition to that is make it ongoing. So maybe it's like a partners panel as well that meets and actually contributes to the creation of certain content that's exclusive to the group. And they meet on a regular basis. I've also seen a lot of people that offer networking as value.
Yeah.
So if you're networking with other people that can provide you value or open doors for you, that's value.
Yeah, and the key, I think, too, now that we're talking through this, when I initially thought of the idea, I was thinking of thousands of users, right? How do I connect with each one of them to be referral networks? Well, the story is they're not, right? You did this, and I didn't. It's only clicking for me right now. Is you went to a very specific place and found very specific people that that specific positions or whatever it was, titles that you were looking for. You found those individuals because of what they already did. So the idea wouldn't be to do this for everybody, but go highlight the people that do, send good referrals. Are they CEOs? Are they actually, marketing directors running the leads? Who are they? Are they people that attend conference? Like, who are those? And identify them. Maybe it's only 12, maybe it's 20, maybe it's not 1,000. And then give those people those specific, benefits that they wouldn't normally get. And I guess that's how you would do it. I'm glad we talked through that example, because I think it's difficult to go, I want to turn all 1,500 of my users into referral engines. Well, that's just not the case. That's not going to happen.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just like positive brand sentiment that creates a deeper relationship, and then the referrals come.
Yeah.
The referrals come from that. So it's keep giving until, the results play in your favor. That's how you earn trust. That's how you expose your brand culture and your sentiment and your value offers. It's by not asking, but it's by giving.
Yeah. Let's take a look at what Rich said here, and evaluate and comment here. We've got Rich says, and I need my glasses. Here we go.
Want me to read this to you, Mike?
Yes, please.
Take your Jeffrey Dahmers off, man. Those things are.
That's what my wife called with them on.
We have a SaaS product. We build a prospect spreadsheet, then build a custom demo page and send it to them. If they love it, they typically reach out for a meeting or call. Best case, they sign up without a call. If they're non-responsive, we follow up to say, use it for free for 30 days, and we'll follow up to get their. Awesome. So, Rich is definitely leaning into that, where they've generated, a great piece of valuable content. It sounds like they have a little bit more of a passive sales cycle, where people are reaching out for a meeting and they're allowed some of that self discovery when it's relevant to them. So that it definitely sounds like they're capitalizing on this sort of give before you get model.
Yeah, but then I think that's sort of what we were talking about a little bit, at least from my mind, of thinking like, okay, well, you can do that, right? And you have that sort of top of funnel, give something free, and you're funneling, people in, right? And that is a prospect generation tool, but that may not be as powerful as that referral network, right? That you sort of talked about. So how do you take, Rich, how does Rich take those users that he already has, at least the powerful ones, the ones that are influential, and empower them with the ability to refer or speak about their company, about his company in good light, but do it so in where they feel like they have to, because they're repaying them back for all the great value that they're getting.
Yeah.
That's the key, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can identify, hey, I want Mike Faree because he's part of a conference to refer over. But how do you put me into a situation where I feel like I have to repay you back, because of what all the
psychological debt.
Psychological debt. Great way to put it. Yeah.
So the one thing that I'd like to learn from Rich and what he's set up is what the ongoing method for continuing the value is. How does it deepen? How does it continue month after month, by week after by week, to continue to engage that group and turn it into a virtual community and a virtual resource that can be dipped into at any time. I think that's like the next generation is like, okay, we've created this piece of value. It's a one-time value, and we get a certain amount of people that will, engage with it. And then X number of people beyond that, like become, like our 80-20 rule.
Mhm.
How do we further stimulate, the 80% that don't initially engage? How do we stay in front of them? How do we keep offering value or try multiple value offers so that we can make it more 50-50 instead of 80-20
Yeah.
on the amount of people that send us opportunities?
Yep. Yep. And companies are often doing those same things, right? Creating new content, content generation, machines, whether it's you know digital content, or whether it's in-person meetings, networking events, summits, whatever it is, doing all those different things seem to be how a lot of companies kind of continue that conversation with prospects and staying in front of it. um, that's great. I mean, before I jump off on another subject, I mean, is there anything else like that I've sort of missed? I thought it was really, really great exercise there to kind of just go through that thought process of how a company could do that. And I appreciate you entertaining it.
Yeah, kudos to you, Mike. I mean, all of the I'm just kidding.
You were gonna go ahead. Go ahead. You can, I want to hear it. I want to hear the joke. No, I'll let you. I'll let you off easy, because if you didn't say it, probably what's going to. By the way, everyone listening, Dan and I joke around all the time. So you're sort of being let in, behind the curtain here a little bit with our really poor sense of humors that we both have.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're on the same level entertains us both.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Of course.
So back, we were talking. I'm going to circle back before we wrap up here in 10 minutes or so, and we can keep talking, but I think you probably have a cutoff. I'm sure you're a busy man. Me, not so much. So I could probably talk all day, but I'll keep it to 10 minutes here. We talked about that same message, and I think the example was on LinkedIn, but every morning you get the same shitty LinkedIn messages and blah, blah, blah. Have you, and you talked about sort of making it more personal and, humanizing and all that sort of stuff. Have you started playing around at all with like ChatGPT, or like having it help write messages on social or emails? And what has been your, if so, what's been sort of your success, and what are the shortcomings that you've seen?
Yeah. So I love it. I would say I'm using ChatGPT to procure some type of response 2-3 times a week. I'd say so. Not like it's not an everyday thing, but it definitely is critical in certain moments. It speeds up the process.
Yeah.
One place that I've actually found it to be really compelling and interesting, and I know this is a little bit non sequitur, is I'm an idea person. I know you're an idea person, Mike, too. Is flushing out ideas that I have. So one example of that is creating a really, really juicy prompt around business plan creation.
Mm-hmm.
Writing a business plan as if you're an expert in a field is essentially the way to start that. And then you further like continue to deepen it and deepen it and deepen it with the reiterations.
Mm-hmm.
I've been able to create like either sub categories of products and services for my company, explore ideas that are like back burner things that I've thought about but don't have 20 hours to dedicate to. I've really loved exploring ChatGPT for those things. How do I advance my business from a conceptual standpoint with all of those like juicy back burner ideas and bringing them to the front faster? And ChatGPT does that for me.
Yeah.
The
What
other
about?
thing that I've really liked, sorry to cut you off, is predictive modeling to a certain extent. So I use that in the when I'm pitching, when I'm presenting companies. So if I'm presenting an accounting company and I know that their target is farmers, I'm using ChatGPT to very quickly and nimbly have a loose projection on when the right times to approach farmers are. This is just a total hypothetical.
Yeah.
concept, but then I can go to my pitch and say, here's what you need to be doing. And I've researched this, and I've developed copy around, specific use cases to get in front of that target market. So I'll have ChatGPT do the research for me, move me 5 steps closer, and personalize my pitch instead of coming on to a call and just throwing my general capabilities at everyone I call with. I know what the conversion rate is on that, but taking it a step further is having ChatGPT tell me what the critical use cases are in a space.
It's crazy how much better our lives have already become. And I mean, because of ChatGPT, not just for being able to simplify processes, produce, content outcomes that you want to be able to work those in such a shorter period of time. And then the output that we're able to output to our connections, contacts is significantly better as well, right? That presentation that you hypothetically would put together about this is producing more thought now in the conversation than it would have previously, because that information wouldn't have been available necessarily. And so it's just exponentially improving our daily conversations, our output of what we're, our thoughts and all sorts of different things.
Everyone asks the question in the buying process of what's in it for me, right? That's the long told sort of acronym, the WIFM. Nobody's asking what's in it for everyone else. And that's what a general capabilities presentation does, is what's in it for the general use case. If you can use it to refine, get closer, get tighter, then, the outcomes are a significant lift, right?
Yeah.
If I'm talking to someone and I'm speaking directly to what value I can provide that person, that's personalization. That I'm getting in tighter, I'm getting in closer.
Yeah. So outside of the research, are you utilizing it at all to at least start to formulate sequences or content within sequences, marketing sequences, or are you still is that something completely manual that you feel is necessary to be manual?
Still, yeah. And the reason why is what you get from ChatGPT is going to be largely template based. It's going to automate the collection of templates, and that'll be the synthesis of what ChatGPT is going to kick out. My personal belief is templates are the devil. Templates are the absolute devil.
Yeah.
Everything should be custom, bespoke, because every company sells differently. Every company on the face of the earth, regardless of how similar they are to each other, they sell differently. They have a different company culture, values, target. Don't think that sales prospecting or message writing should be a copy paste. It just doesn't work that way. One company can just burn the barn down with some line of messaging, and it just falls totally flat for the next company. So yeah, if I need an idea generation, back end, I'll ask ChatGPT for ideas and rankings and levels of importance of certain topics.
Yeah.
But never to fully write and copy and paste.
Yeah. Have you I'm assuming you have the premium account. Do you pay the $20 or whatever?
Yeah.
Did you add on any of the plugins? Have you played around with those?
Not yet. No.
Not yet. So what I don't know, it was 2 or 3 days ago. Maybe it was, shoot, I don't even know what today is, to be honest with you. Maybe it was in the last 7 days. Let's just go with that. They released, I don't know, 40 maybe plugins now that are really crazy, really cool. You can do so much. I was playing with Web Pilot is one of them, and you can ask Web Pilot, which does this is only one part of I think what Web Pilot does, but I had it scrape this search engine listings. So I said, list the top 5 SERPs for, I don't know, lead generation, and then provide a strategy on how to outcompete, provide similar keywords that would help compete, the whole, and it literally will come up with a chart. It puts a whole thing. It tells you what keywords that you could also be, and gives you and ask it to write an article with H2s that are missing that would help compete, and it'll come up with the whole article to do the whole thing for you.
Yeah.
It is insane, what you can do within 30 seconds.
Yeah. Who wants to be an SEO anymore?
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing though, like people say, well, this is going to, take away job, but you still have to write these prompts. You still have to know them. You still have to understand what you're doing to get value out of it. I mean, you can, we can all, we all get in a plane, right, and fly, but hell no, we're not flying it. Someone has to still fly the plane. And so like someone still has to, understand ChatGPT, understand the prompts, understand the industry, everything that's happening behind the scenes, and apply it appropriately to make it work, right? Exactly. Going back to your point, we can have it go, hey, write me a LinkedIn message to promote Lead Generation World Conference and add some humor and a couple emojis. And boom, it'll do that. But is that the best output that we need for this? No, it's not.
Don't assume that it is. Yeah. Should never assume that what it spits out is, going to capture the entire human experience and nail it,
Yeah. I mean, so is it a great starting point? Hell yeah. I mean, because that writer's block or whatever, it gets you going and goes, oh, okay, I can just change this, and put it out there. So I think it's just changing the paradigm, like our perspective on how we are going to get information now, because looking at ChatGPT and then going back to Google, oh my God, Google's it's like the medieval times.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Like if you ask it a question and you're like, what are these results?
Wait for Bard though. I mean, Bard is really coming up quick. And I've heard that some of the richness of the results are even better in Bard.
Yeah. I played it with it for 2 minutes and then I got distracted and went somewhere else. But I need to play with that some more. So, all right. So my first question of this interview was, what is sales enablement? But I don't even think we answered it specifically.
Who needs to answer that?
I want to know exactly what the heck sales enablement is, and then we'll leave it at that.
So what we do is we work with small businesses, pre-revenue startups up to 20, 30 mil in AR is our typical, range that we work in. And we help companies accelerate the amount of tasks it takes to sell these days to get closer to revenue faster. We maximize sales teams. We offset the time it takes to generate new opportunities. And it works as a virtual SDR program or SDR plugin.
Perfect, man. Well, this is the right email address, right?
That's the one. Okay,
cool. If anybody wants to reach out, Dan's got a wealth of knowledge and some funny jokes every once in a while. So
none.
Reach out to him. I appreciate you spending the time with me. I know you got to jump. So thank you everyone for joining today. If you got value out of it, let us know. If you watch this later, let us know in the comments. Otherwise, we'll catch you on the next show. Talk to you later. Thank
you, Michael. Speak soon.
Bye, everyone.